Today we're going to do a character examination, but also have a little discussion around Rocklock, who is the first black character to appear in My Hero Academia. The second one being his infant son, who I assume is called Rocklocked. I mean, look at him, he's basically a clone. Now this video was actually a subscriber request, so if you have an idea for a video, please leave it down below. Okay, so Rocklock is a pro hero in his 30s, and we actually currently don't know where he places on the hero rankings, but what we do know is that he has a pretty interesting quirk called Lockdown. Now pay attention to this description because it's a mouthful. With this power, he can fix any non-living object to a specific point in space just by touching it. As a basic example that I just made up, if you threw a ball at him, he could catch it and then leave it suspended in the air where he caught it. So the things that he locks down are pretty difficult to move, but they can be moved if you apply like excessive force. Furthermore, his super move, which is called Deadbolt, allows him to not just secure a specific object in space, but rather it allows him to secure an entire area in space, which is pretty useful if the environment around you is collapsing or shaking. So the drawback of this quirk is that there is a limit on the size of the objects he can lock down, and the fact that his lock can eventually be overridden with enough force. I feel like if the lock was unmovable, it would be actually a really good quirk, like if the things he touched couldn't be moved by anyone except him. But as it stands, it's quite limited, despite being pretty cool. Also, I forgot to mention that he has these little protrusions coming out of his fingers, and they resemble keys, which kind of plays into his character design, and I gotta say, in the manga at least, this is one of the most stylish hero outfits that exist, period. Now, whilst Rocklock is a person to make quick judgments based on first impressions, he will freely admit when he's been proven wrong. And perhaps due to the fact that he is a father of a young child, he was the character who was most resistant to the idea of having students tag along for dangerous missions. In fact, he can initially come across as quite judgmental, but in reality it's just his way of showing concern. Now in the manga, we've seen that Rocklock is incredibly confident in himself, so much so that he actually asks Sir Nightai to use his quirk on him because Rocklock believed that he could change the future. And if you want to know more about Nightai's quirk and how he can predict the future, then the link is in the description for that video which I put out last week. Also, final thing, I actually forgot to mention this, but his real name is Ken. Okay, so now we've reached the end of the Rocklock explanation part of the video, so now we're going to move on to the wider discussion around his character. But first I'm going to set out what I think, and I advise that you listen till the very end, because if you were to only listen halfway, I think it would probably skew your interpretation of my opinion. So, to begin, unlike completely fictional locations like Hogwarts, for example, where there are no black people for no discernible reason, My Hero Academia is set in Japan. By and large, it's generally not a place you would find black people. Now that being said, whilst My Hero Academia is set on Earth, it's not our Earth, it's not our world that we live in. It's set in the far future, meaning that there is a sufficient gap in time between where we currently live, the world we live in, and where the story of My Hero Academia takes place. That gap in time is so significant that you can use it to justify any change you want, really. And this is another important thing. It's not to say that you should do that either. It's not to say that you should make demographic changes to include more people in your show. I'm simply saying that up until seasons 1 to 3, there have been no black characters whatsoever. The justification that people will make for that is that black people don't really live in Japan today, and that is true. But I don't believe that argument has any weight, because the world of My Hero Academia, it's a world set in the far future that just happens to slightly resemble our present. And that's only because, as I think Deku said, the manifestation of quirks prevented humanity from evolving for a while. And to be 100% clear, the fact that we haven't seen any black characters up until this point hasn't prevented my enjoyment of My Hero Academia. But when you do character analysis like myself, you do just notice things. For example, like if I look at my thumbnails, it kind of hits you that yeah, Overhaul, I love Overhaul, Mirio, I love Mirio, I love all these characters, but yes, they are all of the same demographic, bar none. So what I'm trying to say, I guess to wrap it up, is Rocklock does matter, because having a character who resonates with a large group of people who watch this show is only going to benefit the show, and it's only going to help to convince more people to get on board with the greatness that is My Hero Academia. And I would welcome more characters who look like Rocklock, because at the end of the day, Horikoshi can do whatever he wants. And just to reiterate, I'm not saying that this is taken away from my enjoyment of the show. I'm simply saying that Rocklock is an important character, and it's good to have at least one, Hopefully we can now build on this for the future. There's no harm in it. Like I said, it can be easily justified, but that's just my take on it. I really want to know what you guys think. Should My Hero Academia have more characters from different demographics? And that's not just black people, that's all types of people. Or do you think that it should try and stay close to what present day Japan looks like? And just out of curiosity, if that is your opinion, that they should stay true to what present day Japan looks like, what do you think of characters like Principal Nezu and Ashido and, Fukuyami or Tokoyami, sorry, people who obviously clearly don't represent current day Japan's demographics because they are they're mutants. So what do you think of characters like that? But that's all from me, guys. We've done Rocklock Explained, and we've done a little discussion around why he is important. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and there should be a video next week, and shout out to everyone who retweeted my last video. Their Twitter handles should be on the screen right now.